Hey Changemakers, today I wanted to do something a little bit different with you, and that is to show you just kind of a typical day in the life of an executive director, me. So this is going to be super laid back. I'm going to talk you through some of the things I have going on today and some of the things that are unique to my organization. And on that note, I just want to offer typical day in the life of an executive director is going to look different for every organization. It's going to depend on the organization's size and work culture and mission. Of course, program activities are going to vary organization to organization. So I'll talk you through just my personal experience. And if you're an executive director or aspiring executive director, I'd love to also hear what a typical day is like for you. So be sure to leave that in the comments below. As always, don't forget to check out my other videos. I have over 200 videos on this channel all about nonprofits, social enterprises, social impact, all sorts of good stuff. Check those out. And don't forget to check out my website, foundertofulltime.com, where I have some additional resources for people looking to start a nonprofit, fundraise, and make an impact in lots of other ways. So without further ado, let's get into what my day looks like. I like to start out by just kind of reviewing my calendar and meetings for the day so I can plan out what I'm going to work on, what I'm going to prioritize. So let's see if I can get you to see this here. So I have some meetings I need to focus on today, and then I have a couple of pockets in between where I'm going to be focusing on some of the high priority tasks. And then of course, it's board meeting day. So that means there's some prep that needs to go into that. But before I can get to any of that, my dog needs to go out for a walk. So I'm gonna take care of that real quick and then we'll get right back to it.
What do you think, girl? You wanna go outside? You wanna go outside? What you sniffing? Come on, let's go. Really? You need to do that here? Come on, let's go.
All right, so now that the dog is taken care of, I'm about to head out for my first meeting of the day. I finished getting ready, and you may or may not be wondering, what do nonprofit executive directors wear? And in case you're wondering, I will tell you. It varies by organization, of course. We are very, like I said, laid back work culture. Also, I'm a millennial manager, so of course you can wear jeans to the office. So today, for the meetings that I have today, I'm just wearing, my normal stuff, a normal top, some jeans, some boots that I like, and bada bing, bada boom. So if I were going to do a presentation somewhere or some public speaking, I might dress up a little bit more in like slacks and a blazer or a dress or something. But today it's pretty casual, so that's what we're gonna go with. My first meeting today is with my friend Michael. Hey Michael, he is the chair of our organization's advisory board. Not all nonprofits have or need an advisory board. Our advisory board, like many, is a group of volunteers with various professional skill sets. We've got a lawyer, we've got a commercial real estate guy in there, we've got some experienced business people, but they are there to help advise on some of our activities and sometimes policies and just give us some ideas from their professional perspective. These are non-voting board members, so they do not have a vote on our main board of directors, so they're totally separate group from that group. But a lot of nonprofits use advisory boards to expand their pool of knowledge, their social circles. I've seen some nonprofits who have advisory boards that are focused on the specific issue area. So you might, let's say you're an organization that combats homelessness, you might have an advisory board of people with a lot of experience tackling different angles of that. Maybe someone who does affordable housing, someone who has lived experience being homeless, experiencing homelessness. So advisory boards can serve a lot of purposes, and maybe I'll do like a separate video just on that topic if that's of interest. But ours is about bringing some extra professional knowledge into our organization. And of course, sometimes it's a great way to build a pipeline for future board members too, because we have had some advisory board members who went on to join our board.
Good morning. How are you? Meeting with Amber, YouTubers.
All right, I just finished up my first meeting of the day with Michael from my advisory board. I had held the time after this for a potential meeting with
one of our local public officials. I've been trying to get on her calendar to talk about partnership opportunities between the city and our organization for a while, but she's super busy and wasn't able to fit me in today, so I'm going to try to reschedule that. So now I'm on my way back to my house to keep on working on some stuff on my high priority items. You might be wondering, do I work from home all the time or do I have an office? And the answer is we are a hybrid work organization. So we do have some office space in a co-working area in our city. But it's also totally cool if our team works from home as needed. Our office is something I'll show you a little bit later. It's really cool. It's like co-warehousing and co-working because we need some warehouse space to store all of our special equipment and events stuff that we need to use for some of our big volunteer and nonprofit events. So we have it all stored in our little warehouse storage unit, which is also where our office is. Super convenient. So I'll show you that a little bit later, but now it's time to get back to work at my home computer.
I am back at my desk. I'm getting set up to do some deep work, some focus work, after I take another look at my tasks for today and just reaffirm what my priorities are. Before I do that, I will check in with my team who, as I said, is also working hybrid. We're using the Google Suite to do email and chat and communicate with each other. So I usually just send a chat to check in on everyone. And of course, we all have access to each other's Google Calendar, so we kind of know where everyone is at any given time, though I do not micromanage, so I'm not like spying on them to figure out what they're doing or anything. But if I need to know if someone's available to talk, I can quickly check their calendar. In terms of my setup, let's see, I have the rest of my coffee from my meeting with Michael just now. I also have my comically large water bottle that I keep here at my desk because if I'm in a state of focus, I'm not going to get up and remember to go hydrate and drink water. So having this here makes sure that I'm always hydrated. In case you're wondering what that big thing is in the background, that big colorful poster right there, that is actually literally a person-sized coloring page that I got off this website like last year. And sometimes if I'm feeling stressed out or overwhelmed, it's really helpful to just be able to get up and take some markers and just color in a little bit on the wall. So highly recommend if coloring is your thing. It's been such fun to have like a 6-foot tall coloring page on my wall. So let's see if I can get this set up here on my desk with a good angle. Okay, so I'm just gonna check in with my team really quick, see if anyone needs me for anything. And if there are no fires to put out, which if you know executive director life or nonprofit life, there's always some kind of fire to put out. But if there's nothing like that, then I'm gonna get into some deep work on one of my high priority tasks for the day. Hey team, just a quick good morning. Okay, so I just asked to see if anyone needed anything from me, and if not, I'll get into some focus work. So it sounds like the team is good to go for now, which is great because that means I can focus on some of my top tasks. Now, I realized before I talked about how each organization is going to be different in terms of what an average day in an executive director's work is going to look like. For our organization, our mission is to help mobilize people in our local region to volunteer for causes in our area. So what that actually looks like in terms of activities is we have like a searchable database where people can search for volunteer opportunities with hundreds of local nonprofits specific to our local area. We have some big events we do, like days of service, where we're out for example, National Volunteer Week coming up here in April. We have youth leadership and volunteer programming, and we do a lot in under-resourced schools in our area as well. So in a typical month, you might see me and my team out at one of these big events. It could be that we're doing a school makeover project or a large scale day of service, or maybe we're partnering with a company to get their employees volunteering out in the community. But none of that is happening today. So unfortunately, I can't show you any of that in action. But you will also be interested to note that at this point in our organization, I'm about 10 years into being a full-time executive director, and at this point we've established some good systems that have helped me get out of the weeds. So I'm not always needed every single time we have a project or an event out in the community. My other team members are handling a lot of that. So even if we did have an event today, there wouldn't necessarily be a guarantee that I personally would be at that event. Just something helpful to know, because I know when you're starting out, a lot of executive directors try to do everything and try to be at everything. And sometimes in the very beginning that's necessary. But as you grow, putting the infrastructure in place to free up your time so that you can be spending more time on some of those really important tasks like fundraising and stuff like that is going to help your organization grow more effectively. All right, so I'm going to show you how I know what tasks to prioritize in a given day. And I'll tell you that this process has evolved over time, and myself and our entire team just much prefer how we do it now compared to how we did it several years ago. So when I was first starting this organization, figuring out what to do was a lot like throwing stuff at the wall just to see what would stick, what would work, and then doing more of that. We've gotten a lot more strategic over time. We used to do written to-do lists, like every 2 weeks, me and the team would have like, here's what you have to do this over the next 2 weeks. Here are what you need to be focusing on, what you need to accomplish. And that was fine for a little while, and it did add some extra focus and help guide the team on what they're supposed to be doing. But as our team grew a little bit more, it became a lot harder to track what everyone was doing and also what was important in terms of what everyone was doing. So we actually switched to a project management tool. We use Monday.com, but there are many solutions out there for nonprofits. This one's quite affordable, and it's very gratifying because when you check something off your to-do list, little graphic confetti pieces fly up on the screen. And so who doesn't love that, especially if you're someone who is very type A and needs to see things get checked off your to-do list. All right, hopefully you can kind of get a sense of what we're working with here. This is my personal dashboard on Monday.com, the project management tool I told you about. So you can see, like, I have my items, what I need to work on today, and then there's even one that's overdue, so I should probably check into that. And you can see over here on this side, you can see the status of each one. So if I'm working on it, if I haven't started it yet, you can also see who on my team is assigned to each of these items and when it is due. In these little talking bubbles, you could see, if I clicked on one of those, you could see any notes relevant to that particular task. If you think that learning more about project management tools for nonprofits is of interest to you, let me know. Maybe I'll do a video just focused on that. A couple of other things about this project management tool is, if I wanted, I could also filter to see what my other team members are working on and kind of help guide them or see if they need any support, if they're behind on any of their tasks. And knowing what everyone's working on as a team also is something that helps our discussion in our bi-weekly staff meetings, because we can just kind of see where everyone is at with each task and see where each other needs support. If you're wondering how else the team stays organized, here's what I'll say. Our team is still pretty small. We have about 7 people. But the key is that I am not the manager of every single person on the team. I have other managers. I have a programs manager, I have an HR and operations manager, and I have a fund development manager. And they are responsible for overseeing and supporting the work of the staff members who work under their umbrellas. So it really helps to have other leaders to rely on to help keep the team moving in the same direction, instead of having me have to supervise all those people by myself, because if I did, I really wouldn't have time for much else. That said, the volume of work that we handle really requires that we have double the staff that we do. And that's pretty typical in the nonprofit world, is for everyone to have just a little bit too much on their plates. And it's something that we're always working on, figuring out how to streamline and figure out how volunteers can support some of our activities as well. But yeah, honestly, for the demand for our services and what we need to be doing in the community, I think that we would be having a better time if we had maybe a dozen staff. Okay, so one high priority item I have today is, I mentioned earlier that it's a board meeting day. We have monthly board meetings, and my role as executive director is to help prepare some of the information that will be presented at the board meeting. So I'm just going to go over my draft of the slides that are going to be shared at tonight's board meeting and just peek at the agenda one more time, make sure I'm confident in everything that's going to be discussed and that I'm prepared to answer any questions about our finances or things going on with our staff. And that will be my first high priority task of today. I'm also glancing at my email here and there, and it looks like we got a couple donations in today, so I'm going to be sure to write a quick thank you note to those donors very quickly, because thanking your donors promptly is another important executive director task to support your fundraising team if you have one of those as well. Well, it looks like my slides for the board meeting tonight are in good shape, so I'm going to mark that task complete. Yay! Now it looks like I have a couple of sponsorship and funding proposals that I need to review for my fundraising team members, so I'm going to do that. And then some marketing tasks. I've got a meeting with our marketing consultants, so we decided to hire an outside marketing firm to just support some of that for us. It was a cost-effective solution that we wanted to try and get some professional expertise in-house. So I'm going to have a meeting with our marketing folks as well. All right, I just finished up my weekly meeting with our marketing consultant firm, and now I'm going to jump into a little bit of grant writing before our board meeting tonight. So see you at our board meeting shortly.
All right, I'm back in the car again to head over to my last meeting of the day, which is, of course, our board meeting. And I'll get to show you a little bit around our office too. So let's go. Welcome to our offices. It's a really cool co-working spot. We've got a kitchen here. We've got all these co-working spaces, and lots of nonprofits and small businesses work here together, including ours. So a couple of my board members are here setting up for the board meeting. I'm going to go stop by our warehouse storage unit because there's a couple things that we need in there for the board meeting. We have this little bit of technology that helps people who need to dial in remotely join us for the meeting as well. So I'm gonna go get that projector hookup and then we'll be all set. And now I'm in the warehouse portion of our little office arrangement, and I would say if you're a nonprofit that has a lot of stuff like equipment or materials or supplies, I highly recommend checking out a co-warehousing or co-working option, because it can be an affordable option to store your materials, more affordable than trying to rent your own warehouse or your own space. Sharing it with others is sometimes a really good deal. And here's our little unit. I'll give you a quick look inside. All right, so you can see some of my very, very organized team members were working here getting things cleaned up. So yeah, we're pretty organized here. We even made this little conference table so that if all the meeting rooms are booked, we at least have a place for our team to sit. So this is what it might be like if you rented like a space inside a co-working warehouse. So all of our board members are arriving right now. They're getting settled in. Obviously, I won't be able to take you inside the board meeting, but I'll try to give you a little bit of a recap of just the experience later. Okay, so the board meeting is going on right now, and I've stepped out because they're having a closed session. Now, this is very, very rare for our organization, but just for nonprofits in general, is for the board to have a closed session where the executive director is not included in that conversation. And the reason is because they're deciding something very important.
I haven't shared this news yet with the YouTube community, but I'm actually leaving my position at my organization so that I can pursue supporting you all as change makers around the country and around the world full-time. So the board is currently voting on who's going to take my place as the next executive director of my organization, and I will share so much more about what's going on and what I'm planning to do and how I can bring you all in on the journey a little bit later. But anyway, that's why they're having a closed session right now. And yeah, this brings my evening to a close. I hope you enjoyed this sort of walkthrough of a typical day in the life of a nonprofit executive director. I'm closing up shop for the night, but just a couple things. Don't forget to check out my website, foundertofulltime.com, for resources on starting a nonprofit, fundraising, and more. And of course, join my newsletter linked below for grant and funding opportunities and other resources for change makers. And finally, join my group on Facebook, Change the World or Bust. I will see you later. Bye.